Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today I wanted to actually talk about my hopes for RWBY Volume 7. I mean, we're a long ways off from it, I understand that, but I did at least want to talk about some of the things I hope to see. And not everything that I'm hoping to see within the volume will be on this list, but some of these are some of the more important things. And they're not going to be in any specific order, so sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. So let's start off this list of things that I hope to see within Volume 6 by talking about how I would really hope to see more when it comes to the antagonist and kind of giving some focus to Tyrion and Watts as characters. Now, we do understand Tyrion as a character. We did meet him in Volume 4, and he is a character that we've seen fight even. So we understand his fighting style, we understand what he is capable of. But I hope that they do actually try to go more into his character, of his backstory, why he joined Salem. I think that these would be some very interesting things to actually see out of Tyrion, and it would add more character to him. So I really do hope that we do get some good fights with Tyrion involved as well, considering that we know he's going to be in the war with Atlas. So I am really hoping for some good scenes involving him, and who knows, maybe Tyrion and Crow could have a rematch. Now that would be pretty interesting in my opinion. Now, shifting over to Watts really fast. Thing about Watts is one of those characters that has really been more in the shadow of the events that's been going on. Now, we do know that he helped Cinder, for example, hack into the CCT tower with the scroll that she used to hack into it at Beacon. We do know that that could have been some kind of software that Watts had used, because if you notice the part in Volume 3 when they're looking at Penny's blueprints, there is the W emblem that is Watts' emblem on the scroll when Cinder is looking at it. So the thing is, I would like to see Watts actually fight more and learn more about his character, considering that he's been in the shadows for so long. He's been there, but he hasn't really done a whole lot other than help from the side. So to actually see him involved in the conflict and actually take action, I think will be a very interesting thing to see. This is a good opportunity to really show us what Watts is also capable of with his technology. One thing that I kind of think could be a possibility is that there might be a giant mech fight concerning Watts, because he seems more like a character that may not physically try to do it himself, but rather use some sort of mech or robot, maybe, in my opinion, to fight. Now, of course, I could be wrong, and he could actually be someone to fight on the front lines without using a mech or something of that sort, but I think it would be interesting to implement a mech fight here, as long as it's not like the one with Volume 6 in Cordovan. Let's hope it's much better than that one. And not only this, but with it being able to focus on characters and their backstories, we've had a few characters that have still been sitting here since Volume 1 and Volume 2 that still have mystery shrouded behind them. If you look at Cinder, for example, she is a character that we still don't know her backstory to. She's a character that her origins are still shrouded within mystery, and this is something that we do need to see more of. We do need to see more of Cinder's backstory, and I think that this is one of the best times to really go into that situation. And if you also look at it, it can even tell us how she met Salem and what led her to join Salem, what led her to believe that Salem's way is right. And I think this is the chance to go into that, and considering that Cinder is going to be one of the main antagonists of Volume 7, this is the prime chance to give her some attention as well as some of the other antagonists, and really go into who she is and to her own backstory. So I really think that this could have a lot of potential for her character, and what they need to do is they need to work on her character seeming like she is actually the hero of her own story, instead of the enemy to the hero of the story, like they did with Adam, for example. And they also don't need revenge to cloud Cinder's character, considering that revenge was a big part that took over her character, felt like, for the longest time, until the end of Volume 5, when they slowly started to shift her back to being who she once was, which was a very intelligent character that would plan around things to make things work in her favor, because that's who she is. She is an intelligent character that was able to adapt to the situations she was in, showing that she is not only a capable fighter, because we've seen her skills and she's done very well at that, but showing that she is a strategist in her own right. So I would like to see that. Not only that, but if you look at Volume 4, she seemed like a character that was insecure because of her peers always looking down on her or treating her awful, such as Tyrion, Hazel, and Watts. So this is an opportunity to really work on Cinder's character. But another character that has also been left with a shroud of mystery, just like Cinder has with her backstory, is Neapolitan. Neo herself is a character that, yes, we do know her as Roman's right hand. We do know that she is very capable and skilled as a fighter. And the big thing here when it comes to Neo, though, is we do need to finally start to learn of her origins just like we do with Cinder. Just like with Cinder's backstory, Neo's backstory also has a lot of potential in itself, too. Because this can tell us of her origins, this can tell us of her training, where she came from, and how she even came in contact with Roman Torchwick. You see, Neo herself has so many possibilities that could really end up in telling us a great story about where she came from also. There's so much potential within this story when it comes to Neo as well as Cinder. And I think that not only could we learn of Neo's story with her own backstory, but being told through her backstory, we can also learn of another character, which is Roman Torchwick, considering that Neo did get involved with Roman, and that's how they were working together in the first place. And we don't even know how they got involved with each other, so it would be another good way to be able to tell another character through a character story in itself. So that would be a passage into Roman Torchwick's history, and I would actually really like to see how Neo and Roman met too. So I think that this has a lot of potential, and I think that the antagonists do need some focus here when it comes to who they are and their backstories. Now, next one is going to be the big one. Since this is going to be the arc about Atlas, obviously we're going to finally be getting back into Weiss's story, which I'm excited to see what they do with Weiss and her story, considering she has a conflict with her father that is still not yet resolved, and since Weiss did run away from her father to get away from Atlas, and now that she's going back to Atlas, this is the time that Weiss is going to have to confront her father yet again. Now, when we saw it before, we did know that Weiss was standing up against her father, and because of what happened, she lost her heir status. And now the heir is Whitley. So, what I think will also be interesting is that now that Weiss is returning, obviously Jacques has known that she has been gone. And to see that how this will play out could be a unique way of doing this. So what I think would be an interesting start to when Weiss returns. Say Team RWBY could be there when this happens, and Jacques could put on a facade. So what he could do is he could act like he was worried about his daughter, and that he was hoping that Weiss would be safe and everything of that sort. So he would seem like he was a concerned individual, and then he starts to show his true colors because Weiss will resist and will try to avoid him or stay away from him. And that would be a pretty cool thing, I think, for a first confrontation between the two once Weiss returns. And the thing is, going further within this, we're going to see Weiss have to fight back yet again against her father. Now, not physically per se, but more so within ideology. And I'm actually going to be very interested to see some may actually come up to help her. Now, what I think would be pretty cool here is a good idea to actually show Klein come back and start to truly give his opinion on Jacques and how he never cared for him in the first place. And also this would be a way to throw Klein and his several different personalities, since he's based off the 7 dwarfs from Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. So it'll be cool to see his 7 split personalities actually start to give their opinions on Jacques and try to help out Weiss during this situation. So I think that would be kind of a cool thing to throw in. But another character that would be good for this situation is Winter, because Winter herself, she went into the Atlas military, and you would have thought that she'd be the heiress, considering that she is the eldest child of the 3, but that title was taken from her and given to Weiss. And it would be good to actually see Winter's point of view and Winter giving her opinion on the matter as well, considering she was the one who told Weiss to detach herself from the Shias company and to basically figure herself out and what she wanted. And that's what she did. Not only that, but Winter has been a supportive role to Weiss and even helping her train. So just as well as being a sister, she has also been a good mentor to Weiss. So I think that Winter pitching in her support to Weiss would make sense. And it would be good to see Winter give her opinion on Jacques as well, because we don't really know Winter's opinions on Jacques, and it would be good for Weiss to have a family member actually give support to her. Now, while this will anger Jacques, and Whitley will probably kiss up to his father, considering that Whitley seems to be on Team Jacques here for this situation, I think that Whitley will give his stance as well, and to see Jacques be angered, who knows what he'll do, who knows how he'll go about this, but this will be a pretty interesting thing to see, and to see that the family is, well, I guess in a sense, kind of coming apart due to this whole entire issue, in which we already knew that the family had been coming apart before this ordeal, but what could happen with this ordeal of family members picking sides, this would be another opportunity to add another family member to support Weiss, or just be there to give their opinion besides Winter too, which would be their mother. Weiss has a mother, and we know this. We know that she is a depressed character that is an alcoholic. And since we know she has crippling depression, this could really show another character and introduce us to one. So I think that this would be a good time to introduce Weiss's mother. And then she could even give her own opinion, considering that Nicholas Schnee was her father. So I would like to see what her input actually could be to this situation too, and I think that this could be an interesting throw in for Weiss and her arc, and in the future I'll go more into how I would like to see these events play out. But going on to the next thing I would like to see, the maidens. So here's the big thing. Obviously Atlas has a relic, therefore there is going to probably need to be a maiden unless the relic's just exposed, which that wouldn't make any sense, but they are going to need to go into who the next maiden is at this point. So this is a new way to introduce a new character, but at the same time, this will throw in another maiden into the story. Now, the big thing is, I would guess that this is the Winter Maiden, considering Atlas is in the northern region of Remnant, which is a colder region, so I would guess by default this would be the Winter Maiden, unless they just wanted to throw in a joke and say, hey look, Summer Maiden. But what I think they should do is they should throw in a new maiden, which it's not just a think, they have to, like I said, unless they've just exposed the relic, which I think would probably be in better defense to have the actual maiden to that door, keeping it shut so that they would have to access the maiden as the key rather than just having it exposed so that anybody could just get to it. But considering that we know who the fall and the spring maidens are, I think it's the time that they finally give us the Winter Maiden. Not only this, but there have been a lot of speculations before even Volume 5 that there would be the Winter Maiden maybe coming very soon. Volume 6 was another chance that a lot of fans had hoped that the Winter Maiden would be appearing, at least maybe towards the end or sometime in the middle of the volume, but that didn't happen either. So we didn't get a glimpse at the Winter Maiden, and that's the thing. They're going to have to introduce this character if they're going to want to get to the relic. So this is going to happen. They're going to have this maiden for this gate to open it to get to the relic. And what I think would be kind of cool, but even though they kind of did it, is to kind of hide the fact of who the maiden could be and then leave you guessing. But at the same time, I feel at this point, even if they were to try to do that, it would be very obvious, because I think everybody would be like, oh, well, that girl, she's the maiden, I know it. And then everybody just be like, oh, well, yeah, we saw it coming, because why would you introduce a character that wouldn't end up being important at some point in the plot? So it would be kind of hard for them to hide the fact of who the maiden is, but who knows? Maybe they'll implement this character in some way, but I hope to see the Winter Maiden next. So now this is one I'm going to briefly talk about, and this is the Silver Eyes. And I've talked about this in a video already, so I'm not going to go very far into this. I'm just going to bring this up one more time because this is a hope I actually do have. I do hope that the Silver Eyes actually have some kind of cost to them, because if they don't, well, the Grimm are not going to be threatening. And since we have the Flying Barangulls coming in from Salem, since she's having them get ready to attack Atlas, the thing is, how are they going to seem threatening if the Silver Eyes don't have some kind of cost to them? Because if RWBY just goes around just Silver Eye blasting every single last Grimm, then they're not going to feel like a threat. They're not going to feel fearsome at all, and they're just going to be there to pretty much be killed once RWBY just enters the scene. I mean, yeah, they could probably make problems for some of the characters around there until RWBY comes in, but I feel like they need to have a cost here, because the Silver Eyes just are too OP at this point to just immediately go, oh, hey, look, I've got the hang of this. I automatically know what I'm doing. I think that they should have a cost. Now, they could do some kind of aura drain to where RWBY's aura drops, or temporary blindness. I think these are great ideas. I think these are ways to go about a cost to the Silver Eyes, because when RWBY uses Silver Eyes, they just had it act as if it was just very easily able to be activated in Volume 6. And I think that what they could do here is Maria could be talking about how she forgot things. Because if you remember in Volume 6, she states that she thinks her mind may be going. So this could lead to her forgetting that the silver eyes have a cost. And if she forgets that they have a cost, then whenever Ruby's going through maybe obliterating some Grim with her silver eyes and something happens, like maybe aura drain or maybe temporary blindness, that's when Maria could warn Ruby and say, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that this happens. So I think that this could be a good way to nerf that power so that it's not so overpowered that the Grim just don't seem like they're a threat at all. And it would then have to make Ruby think about how she's going to use the silver eyes. What situation is the best one to use it? And then when is she going to have to fight? Because it would then make her have to still fight instead of just stand there and eye blast everything with her silver eyes. So I think that this is something that needs to be implemented, and hopefully they will within Volume 7. So another thing I want to talk about. This is a problem I actually did have with Volume 5, was when it came to Mistral, they did not explore it. They just stayed in a room for 10 chapters. That is a problem. I think that when you're trying to build a new area, you do need to explore it. And I think with Atlas, it does need to be explored. And I think one of the best ways to actually explore Atlas a bit in this volume, which I think would be an interesting way to do this, implement Team Funky. I think that seeing Flint and seeing Neon again would be great, and then seeing the other two members that we never did actually meet, I think it would be great to see them. It would be a good way to get them into the story, and I would really enjoy seeing this. And this would give them more character, and it would even give the two new ones that we never saw before, part of Team Funky, character as well. So I would really like to see it, and not only that, but this could be the opportunity to have Team Funky jump into the plot and actually fight alongside Team RWBY. So I would really love it if they did implement Team Funky and have them not just be like tour guides in a sense, but at the same time be there to fight in this war, because they're from Atlas, so it would only make sense to put these characters in, and I think a lot of people would also be very glad to see these characters. So I think that this is a good opportunity to finally throw in older characters from past volumes. So now here's the big one. I think that the antagonists need to win this time around. Now, this is a big thing here that I'm stating. I'm going to definitely go into this a bit, and I'll probably talk about this more in the future. But let me explain some of my reasons why I actually want to see the antagonist win this time around. So, let's start off by looking back in the past volumes. So, if we go back into Volume 3, we look at the Fall of Beacon. The antagonists were very consistent characters, and they won in the end. It may not have been a perfect ending for Cinder considering what happened with Ruby and her silver eyes, but it was still a very good moment, I think. I think that the Fall of Beacon was a time to really show the threat of the antagonist characters, and it was an excellent way of doing so. So then we have the antagonist with their constant losses. And so when they went up and just completely took everything down in Volume 3, then we have them lose constantly after that. Volume 5 was a complete disaster for the antagonist. Well, really, let's be fair, Volume 5 was a mess. But the thing is, if you look at the win rate for the antagonist, after Volume 3, it has gone down. The antagonists really haven't gotten any wins, and if you look at the protagonist, well, it's gone up, and it's continued to go up. And what this does is this really brings down the value of the antagonist to the point where why does anybody care about the antagonist if they're going to constantly just lose? And that's a problem because you don't want your antagonist to always lose. You want your antagonist to win every once in a while to teach the heroes a lesson, to teach them to better themselves. And with all this setup they're doing in Volume 6, this shows you that there could be a big plan in Atlas that the writers may actually have in store for the antagonist. And here's the thing. If Salem comes in to do something at Atlas, here's the problem. Say you have all of your antagonists here, and say they lose, and then Salem has to come in to save them all. Here's the problem. Salem is going to seem threatening, of course. That would be a good way to build up Salem, but at the same time, you're hurting and devaluing all the other antagonists. Every other antagonist are going to lose any value to them because they couldn't do anything on their own. And that's the thing. You don't want that to happen. As much as it would be good to see Salem do something, at the very same time, I think it's best that she does stay out of it when it comes to the likes of her actually showing up. Now, I don't mind her sending Grimm, that's perfectly fine, but her actually showing up to fight, I don't think would be very good, because it would just hurt the other antagonist, and it would just show them as incompetent. Besides, this build-up is showing you the potential that these antagonists have from here on forward for the next volume, and that the plans that these characters may have, that the writers may come up for these characters, can really show the competence of the characters and show their own intellect as well, and proving that they don't have to have Salem to take care of a job and to get it all done. So, if Salem sends Grimm, I think that's fine, but I don't think she needs to directly be there. Another thing that can really help with the situation is if the antagonist can bring down Atlas. So here's the big thing. Atlas's military is seen as the best military in all of Remnant. So if Atlas falls, then this puts more credit behind each of the antagonists. And I think that this is a very good way to show how good they actually are at trying to complete their objective that has been set forth for them. And I think it's also a good way to really redeem them and give them credibility as antagonist characters, as fearsome characters. And I'm liking the way that it was set up in Volume 6. I mean, yeah, none of these antagonists met anyone in Volume 6, or fought the heroes, unless you want to count Adam, but he's gone, so we're not counting him. But the way they're building this up and the way they're making this look is the antagonist may actually come out on top this time, and that's what I'm personally hoping for. And I'm not saying I want the worst to come to the heroes, but I'm saying I want the antagonists to feel like they actually are worth something, that they actually are powerful, that they actually have the competence to complete something that they need to do, and that they actually can prove to be a threat again. They did it in Volume 3, they can do it again. So I'm really hoping that they work on these antagonists. I'm really hoping to see great things come out of them. I'm hoping to see great fights even. And I hope that they do the best for these characters, because the antagonists, as much as the protagonists, they deserve respect too. And I hope they do provide a lot of good things for the antagonists, and I hope that they do give them the respect that they deserve, because the antagonists themselves, they deserve it, and they do need to feel like a threat again, and they do need to be shown that they are worth something as much as the protagonists are too. So I'm really hoping for the antagonists to get the love and respect they deserve, and maybe come out on top of the win in Volume 7. But anyways, I'll be back again on Tuesday. Let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And let me know what your opinions are on what you want to see in Volume 7 down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, share this with your friends if you found this informative or useful, and join the Discord. Link will be down below in the description. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today, and remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you, and have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.